Then on Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the 2023 Alamo Bowl matchup between the Oklahoma Sooners and the Arizona Wildcats. Two teams that have had great seasons getting to this point. You got Oklahoma 10-2 on the season. This is a team that was very much a national contender until they took a couple of close losses down the stretch. They lost to Kansas, lost to Oklahoma State, and from there, their playoff hopes kind of went out the window, but this is still a brutal team to beat as they take on Arizona. And I would say the Wildcats, this team is 9-3, but they're the hottest team in the country heading into bowl season. They've won their last 6 games, and most of those games were not even close against talented teams too. So for Arizona, ever since Noah Fafita came in, things have turned around real quick, and this is overall a very intriguing matchup coming up here in bowl season. We'll be over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Let's get started with your team trends. Oklahoma beat TCU 69-45 to finish out the regular season. This is a 10-2 team that once again they lost to Kansas, lost to Oklahoma State there in late October, early November. But I mean, this team beat Texas at one point this season, a team who is now in the college football playoff, eventually won the Big 12. So I mean, obviously their 7-0 start. This team was very much looking like a national contender, at least a college football playoff contender, and just a couple of close losses are holding this team back. But as for Arizona, beat Arizona State 59-23. This is one of the more impressive turnarounds I've seen out of a team in a season. This team started the season 3-3, but all 3 losses were really close for Arizona. They lost to Mississippi State by a touchdown in overtime, lost to Washington by a touchdown, now who's the 2 seed in the college football playoff, and lost to USC in triple overtime. So, I mean, obviously the 3-3 start was less than impressive, but the way this team was so dominant down the stretch, won their last 6 games, this is a really dangerous team heading into bowl season. I mean, Arizona is ranked 14th in the country. I think I have this team ranked 11th in bowl season just based on how they've played down the stretch. Games be on Thursday the 20th in San Antonio. Kickoff is 9:15 p.m. Eastern. Spread's going Arizona by 3 here. This is something that might surprise you if you don't follow college football much, because, I mean, from the surface, you see Oklahoma, a team that was a big contender this season for the most part, and then Arizona, a team that kind of came on the radar later on. I mean, this is a spread that might surprise you, but it makes sense seeing the Wildcats as the favorite here. Over under 62.5. FPI is going Oklahoma 75% here, so the FPI very much disagrees with it, going with Oklahoma a full 75%, but that also doesn't take into consideration the transfers and also the players who have declared for the NFL draft. In this case, Dillon Gabriel obviously gone for Oklahoma, which is a huge factor, and the FPI just hasn't been very accurate this bowl season because of obviously the transfers and everything that has happened. But your bowl history, Oklahoma 31-24 overall. They lost their bowl game last season. That was in the Cheez-It Bowl to Florida State. And then obviously the 2 years before that, they won the Alamo Bowl against Oregon back in 2021. And then they beat Florida in the Cotton Bowl back in 2020. But as for Arizona, this team hasn't had quite as much success, not even close to the same success that Oklahoma has. I mean, their last bowl game was 2017, which would have been the Foster Farms Bowl against Purdue. They lost that game. Their last bowl win was in 2015, which would have been the New Mexico Bowl against New Mexico. But their last New Year's Six game would have been back in 2014, where this team was in the Fiesta Bowl. Stat comparison, Oklahoma 2nd in points per game, 20th in points allowed. This is a really balanced team here in Oklahoma. They're especially good on offense, though. I mean, their defense is okay. They've been a bit inconsistent at times. Obviously, allowing 45 to TCU to finish out the regular season was pretty disappointing, but their offense found a way, and that's kind of been the case. We've seen this offense put up some really impressive performances throughout the season, and obviously it's going to look different, though. Dillon Gabriel being out for Oklahoma doesn't really help anything. He's obviously off to Oregon. He's transferring, and so now it's up to Jackson Arnold, who looks to be the starter for this matchup. We really don't know too much of him. But it sounds like he's got some pretty high upside, so it's going to be interesting to see how he can perform in this one. But as for Arizona, 18th in points per game, 31st in points allowed. This is the 9th-ranked passing game in the country. The Pac-12 has just been filled with incredible passing games this season, and Arizona is definitely one of them with Noah Fafita, who has emerged. This is a guy that no one really knew before this season, but he's going to be a big name heading into 2023 for sure. And then you look at Arizona's defense. Main strength is against the run. They're 70th against the pass. Your recent matchups: OU beat TCU 69-45, beat BYU by a touchdown. Beat West Virginia 59-20. I mean, so this defense has allowed a lot of points. especially later on in this season. But the offenses once again put up some pretty impressive performances throughout the later parts of the season. Obviously, the Oklahoma State game and even the Kansas game weren't exactly impressive. The defense kind of allowed Oklahoma State and Kansas both to win those games respectively. But as for Arizona, beat Arizona State 59-23, beat up Utah 42-18. This was a really impressive win here for the Wildcats. Utah's a team that doesn't exactly have a strong offense. They're known for their defense, and this Arizona offense put up 42 on them. Definitely something to keep in mind there. They beat Carter by 3. Beat UCLA 27-10. Also beat Oregon State 27-24 back in October. Your key points: OU 10-2. Dylan Gabriel obviously gone, so it's up to Jackson Arnold. This defense can be strong, but is inconsistent. Honestly, in general, this Oklahoma team is just a bit inconsistent. And I mean, obviously, they beat Texas back in October by 4. Texas turned out to be the Big 12 champion and in the college football playoff right now. So that obviously is the most impressive win of the season for Oklahoma. But those 2 close losses to KU and Oklahoma State really took this team out of contention. But I mean, this is a brutal team, though, here in the Sooners. This is a team with a lot of talent, plenty of depth as well. They've got a lot more depth than Arizona does, that's for sure. But you look at the Wildcats. After a 3-3 start, this team has only gotten better. They have not looked back, and that's really something you got to look for when predicting bowl games, is who is hotter heading into bowl season. In this case, it's definitely Arizona. Oklahoma's got a couple of nice wins, but the Wildcats, the way this team was they were 3-3, maybe on the border for even making a bowl game this season. And then they win their last 6 games against a really competitive Pac-12. Really impressive what the Wildcats have done here. And honestly, at this point in the season as well, I would say this team would compete up against most of the top teams in the country. I feel like if you put them in the New Year's Six, say against like a Missouri or a Penn State or an Ole Miss, or even I would go as far as to say Florida State or Ohio State, Arizona would really have a chance, I think, in all of those games, just based on the way this team has played, especially later on in this season. This is a team that's 9-3, but they are definitely better than the record shows. If they played the entire season the way they've played in this second half of the year, I feel like Arizona could be probably an 11-win team at this current point. I mean, all 3 of their losses were really close. 2 of them were in overtime. So for Arizona, this is a really tough team to beat at this point, and don't let the record deceive you. But with that, let's get a prediction here for Oklahoma and Arizona coming up here in the Alamo Bowl. Probably the most intriguing bowl game, I would say, outside of the New Year's Six. And so with that, I'm going with the Wildcats here. 38-35 is my predicted final score. The way I see it, I think this could be one of the best bowl games of this bowl season. You got 2 offenses that really have been impressive this season, 2 defenses that are good but not exactly elite. So we could see some decent scoring in this matchup. And obviously Noah Fafita, the way he has emerged this season and the way that he's played down the stretch, it's really going to be fun to see him in a bowl game against an Oklahoma team that obviously doesn't have a great defense, but still a really talented team. So this is, overall a matchup that really could go either way. I think Dylan Gabriel being out for Oklahoma also has an impact. You got a new quarterback who really doesn't have much experience in Jackson Arnold for Oklahoma. I feel like Arnold's going to have a halfway decent game, but I just don't know if it's going to be enough for the Sooners to beat a high-powered Arizona offense that's really played well in the second half of the season. But I'm taking the over for this one. Arizona cover the spread in the end as well, and so they find a way to win. Honestly, in this score prediction, I do have a push being predicted with this spread, but if I'm going to take anything, I would probably take the Wildcats to cover. But with that, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, your score predictions, all of that. My name's Evan. This is All Sports Central. Stay tuned for more. We'll catch you on the next one.